most CEOs are male. That's a talk for another day. But there are female CEOs, and so that's a new research that's so fascinating here at Utah State, where we're looking at what happens with the female CEO. And this is really interesting because personality traits manifest differently across gender. So you have a high narcissist male, high narcissist female, and they're going to be perceived differently, even though they engage in the same behavior. Women leaders who display these narcissistic tendencies are perceived by men subordinates as less effective leaders than deeply narcissistic men leaders. Okay? And I'm not sure what is the full cause behind that. It's just to say that the male and female leader are perceived differently, even with the same behaviors. Organizations that are led by women CEOs have been found to be more equity-based, they're fair, they're more transparent. And then finally, one of the things that limits often female CEOs is they don't have support. Okay, they can't implement their decision often as a lone female. And this research shows that having a second female being on the board actually really benefits. Okay, if they're a lone female, they call this token status, but they're only female, and they have a hard time implementing their decisions. So we took this and said, well, let's look at this with narcissism. And what we find is that women CEOs are just as likely to exhibit narcissism as male CEOs. So it's not a differential there. But what is different is that the narcissistic women CEOs don't engage in this risk-taking, the spending of research and development on capital expenditures that the male CEOs do, and they don't engage in the questionable behaviors that the male CEOs do. So we see a complete opposite result with female CEOs, and likely it's because they're just not able to carry their vision because they're female, they're perceived differently than the male CEO. One of the final questions we ask is, given all this behavior that we see CEOs that are engaging in, there's other parties to this, okay, that are observing and engaging with those firms. Are they picking up on this? Are they aware that that firm is engaging in these behaviors because of the narcissistic CEO? So the first area is a very accounting one. The auditing world. The auditors have to go and check the financial statements, are they accurate or not. So what auditors use is they use this audit risk model. The audit risk model is three components: inherent risk, control risk, and detection risk. Inherent risk and control risk are just assessed by the auditor. They go in and they say, what's the business risk of this company? What's the likelihood we might see fraud in this company? Do they have a risky business that might put more pressure? And we just assess the inherent risk. Then they assess the control risk, which is all the procedures or policies in place to make sure that financial accounting is done properly. So they make an assessment of that. And then they set this last part, the detection risk. So if inherent risk is high and control risk is high, the detection risk is going to be set low, which is the risk that they're not going to find where they need to. Okay. So if they set, I should say this, if they set detection risk low, they have to do more work. They got to go look at more accounts receivable. They got to go look at more inventory. They got to do things tighter because they're uncertain. Okay. So we argue that narcissistic CEOs have a higher inherent risk. Okay. Their business risk, the way they're engaging in business, is riskier. There's more pressure at the firm, where people might be more likely to engage in fraud. There's also tests to see if they're higher control risk. We find that they have more control weaknesses, where their controls don't work, so they can't rely on them. They have to do more work as the auditor. So we find the auditors charge higher fees to narcissistic CEOs from doing more work. And I put this down here, I think it's on average about $120,000 more in fees paid just because your CEO is a narcissist. So that's, again, real money and costs going out. So the auditors take that on us as part of their process. One of the other things that we're currently working on is what do analysts do. Okay, so the analysts see these projections from CEOs. And this is a developing paper, but what we find is the analysts kind of take it with a grain of salt. If the CEO puts out a projection, they will kind of par back their own projections because they know narcissists are going to pull themselves, is what we're finding. So I think the question we need to ask in this form is, are they effective? And I don't know if the answer is clear. The research I've done or read about, I see that there are some really positive performance outcomes where such a strategy might be developed. And I think a really good thing to have this vision and charisma put forth by a narcissistic CEO. But it can also be detrimental because they'll do things that are in their own interest and not the firm's interest. The performance outcomes are a little sticky because what I see is that their performance is actually better. And it's hard to argue, and that's maybe why you keep seeing narcissistic CEOs put in place, because if their performance is better, you can deal with the need if the performance is better. So that was a little bit unclear. In the extreme form, right, we might see that they Press from Salt Lake to Reno. So his family goes back quite a ways. His father was a very eminent judge here in Salt Lake City, a federal judge. Scott is married to Cecily Barlow Henderson, and among his many honors and distinctions are that he and Cecily were honored as Distinguished Service Award from the Utah State University in 2007. So why don't you welcome Scott Henderson. We have a short video that might be a way to start about Scott. I'm thrilled to be here with you this morning. I'm especially pleased to be in this room. L. Tom Perry not only was a good friend, but he was a board member of Zions Bank and helped direct the bank for a long period of time. And so we were honored to be able to participate and help honor him with the naming of this room. But I thought to begin with, I wanted to show you a short video. It tells the history of Zions Bank, and I think that will help set the stage for maybe some of the comments and questions today. The bank is over 140 years old, and we did this on the 140th anniversary. And so it's 140 years in Zions history and 140 seconds. So it's a short video, but I hope you enjoy it. 140 years of Zions Bank history in 140 seconds. It all started July 6, 1873. Governor Brigham Young of Utah Territory considers organizing a savings bank in Salt Lake Valley called Zions Savings Bank and Trust Company. 4 days later, the bank was incorporated with a capital stock of $200,000. It's a lot of money. Maybe I should start a bank out of nowhere. October 3, 1873, the day the North School opened, cashiers recorded deposits of almost $6,000 by 46 depositors. $6,000 back in those days was nothing to make that. During the 1880s, financial assistance from the bank helped launch several investment firms that would later become Texas Copper, Union Pacific, Utah Power, and Mountain Fuel. Because that most major industries in Utah were served by Zions in their formative years. In 1916, a bigger bank was needed in rural Utah to save money on shipping materials. 80,000 masonry from Salt Lake City were wrapped in paper and brought in the mailbox. They traveled more than 420 miles by parcel post, much cheaper than sending them by freight wagon. After this done, the U.S. Postal Service had imposed weight limits on daily shipments. Today, Zions Bank's Furlong has the distinction of being the only bank in the country entirely shipped by mail. After the Great Depression, many banks across the nation closed involuntarily. In February of 1932, 40 depositors received $1.5 million in 2.5 days, prompting Bank President Heber J. Grant to place a sign in the window showing that there was no safer bank in the state or in the nation. By the end of the month, total deposits exceeded withdrawals. Without that sign, this video probably wouldn't have ended here. Luckily, it doesn't. On December 31st, 1957, Zions Savings Bank and Trust Company, Utah Savings and Trust Company, and First National Bank of Salt Lake City merged to form Zions First National Bank. Also, the apostrophe in Zions was dropped. I never really liked that apostrophe anyway. A few years later, on April 22nd, 1960, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints sold the majority of the control of the bank to Keystone Insurance Today. I guess that's what they call separation of church and bank. Skip ahead to a more recent time, June 1991. Zions Bank starts an annual tradition called the Payment Month, where bankers drop the balance sheet and pick up paintbrushes to join together and sprucing up the homes of the elderly and disabled. This event always brings out fine relief and growth. In July 1997, the Gem State learned what local decision-making really means. Zions Bank entered Idaho. Who doesn't like a good Idaho sponge? Today, Zions Bank employs roughly 2,600 people in 128 locations throughout the communities of Utah, Idaho. Literally half of them got visitors. And that's 140 years of Zions Bank history in 140 seconds. Okay, that's great. It's a great way to get us into the bank. And we want to talk about banking in Utah and economic development a little bit, Scott. But I noticed in that video, that paint-a-thon, you were there with your paintbrush. That started just shortly after you arrived at Zions Bank. Yeah, we've been about 25 years, 26 years, and we paint about 50 homes a year, and we get almost 3,000 people out. So more than just the employees, they come with their families, and some of the employees are here, and we paint homes in communities all throughout our market. Well, I think that was in June or July of 1991, and you arrived at the bank in December of 1990. And you came from Bank of America, right? And you had been in San Francisco, and before that you were in Japan, and then before that you were in San Francisco with Bank of America. So we're working back a little bit. My understanding is your master's degree is in economics and international affairs from Johns Hopkins. You have a bachelor's degree in philosophy and economics from Columbia. You did attend the University of Utah for 2 years, served in LDS mission to teaching. And someplace along the line in there, you also spent a year at the University of Bologna in Italy. So you picked up French, Italian, Japanese along the way at one point. Okay. I mentioned something about your distinguished forebears and your honored father and mother. I didn't mention that yours was a bipartisan family. Your mother coming from a strong Democratic family, the Weilandmans, and her brother was a candidate for governor of the state. I remember when he ran. Was it 1968 or? It was, and then he ran for Senate against Wallace Bennett and lost both. Yeah. Well, we have something in common with that in our family. I had a father that ran and lost for governor, and I ran, as you know, for the Senate and lost badly. Scott, take us a little bit through your developmental years, if you would, before we get into banking and what you're doing now. What was it that interested you in economics? intrigued with the sort of multiplier effect of money and how people can deposit money in banks, and then the banks can take the money and lend it out 7 times, and it just has a huge economic impact. And I went to school, as you mentioned, at the University of Bologna for a while, and when you're there, you realize how important trade and finance have been to the development of the world.
I think Bologna is the oldest university in Europe.
It's the oldest university in the world, and they have a very good sense of history and the history of finance. And so they go back to where the merchant princes, actually started the banking system. And if you go back early enough, people would carry around their gold or whatever they were going to barter with. And then they realized that they didn't have to carry it around, and someone would keep it for them and give them a slip of paper, which became checks that they'd write on. And so the banking really, that we know it today, came from those early Italian merchants. And it always intrigued me how the money can grow and expand and build on the trust that when you need the money, you'll get it. But when you don't need it, it's out there being multiplied to help business grow.
Yeah. So the money multiplier is what really drew you into a study of economics. You also studied philosophy along the way and international relations. Tell us a little bit about your interest in those topics.
Well, I love to read, and I love to read the books of some of the European philosophers. I like to see how they thought and how they sort of pieced together the history of humankind and how it developed. And so when I had the chance to go to Columbia University in New York, they had some of the best professors on philosophy in the world, and I was able to take courses from them. And I graduated with a degree in philosophy, as you said, but also in economics, because my parents said, you can never earn a living as a professor of philosophy.
Good counsel. And the international relations, you've obviously lived all over the world. I think you were in Japan for 7 years or something like that. What is it about international affairs that are of interest to you?
Well, I think, going back again to my experience in Italy, and you saw how much of the development of the world really has come from trade. If you go back to the time of Cleopatra, here Egypt was the wealthiest country in the world. She was probably the wealthiest person in the world. And then it moved. Cleopatra. And then it moved. And I had a professor in the largest communist city in the free world that was freely elected as a communist government. But his contention was that if you look at Columbus went, he knew where he was going, and it wasn't to prove that the world was round. It was to find the lost tribes of Israel, because he was part of my professor. He had a Jewish background, and he thought if he could find them, that he could trade back and forth and have make an immense fortune. And so so much of the world is based on this trade, and as you see the world develop, it's become so flat and so interconnected that it's just fascinating. So
this was a Marxist professor who was telling you about trade.
Yeah.
And what else did you learn from this Marxist professor?
Oh, yeah, it's interesting. The trains ran on time in Bologna, but in Italy, they were always late.
Yeah, except Mussolini was a dictator. This is the you did transfer from the University of Columbia, and you stayed at the University, so there were plenty of Marxist professors. Scott, you come from a family of 6 boys and 1 girl, and your brothers are all very distinguished in their own professions. You have, I think, 3 who were doctors and 2 who were lawyers. Is that right? Including one named Doug, who's a doctor. Yeah. Is he the guy who's staring out at me in that billboard? Yeah. If I come north on I-15 here, nose and throat. Yeah. But at least he's not an axe murderer. That's good. So, Scott, your grandmother said that of you that she thought that you were probably the only non-professional in the family. You're very part of entrepreneurial. I also know about your relationship with your grandmother and why she might have said that.
I had a